I'm Holliday. I work as a chaplain in the Bay Area, a couple of the juvenile facilities. I really would like to just say how wonderful that work is. I love the community that it is. I've worked in them, well, in one of them for 11 years, and I've gotten to know the staff and the other chaplains and the community. I love those people. They are supportive. They are wonderful to work with, and it's been a joy to be in the facility with them. Many years ago, I had a girls' class in the girls' unit, and all the girls came out, 23 to 30 girls, and they'd sit out in the open space, and the staff people were there. And one day I went in and I was doing this kind of little Sunday school class, and I was talking, and I could tell I was not reaching them. It was written all over their faces. And so I paused and I reached out to God, and I said, Father, help me. How do I deal with this? And after I paused, one of the girls looks at me. What are you doing? Doing it for dramatics? Why'd you pause? And I honestly looked at her and I said, no, I was praying. I could tell that you guys weren't, I wasn't connecting at all with you. And I come here to help. And anyway, in the little discussion we had right then, all the girls, the whole atmosphere changed. And I thought, I love that, because I could tell I wasn't reaching them. I could reach out to God and I could change it. And another thing that really meant a lot to me was not about a year and a half ago or so, I had a new young man in the Max unit. And he was brand new that week, and he came to talk to me, and he sat down, and the weight of the world was on his shoulders. And he said, I picked the wrong life. And I said, well, you can change that. And he goes, no, I can't. Well, in the course of the conversation, it kept going, I can't change it, and etc. And finally he goes, you don't understand. I'm going to hell. I killed a man. And I said, honey, and I could tell that he had religious background. And I said, you know about Moses, who Moses is? And he goes, yeah. And I said, great leader, great leader. I said, he led the people. God chose him. God talked to him. God gave him the 10 Commandments. I said, do you know why he had to leave Egypt when he was a young man? And he said, no. And I said, he killed a man. Do you think God put him in eternal hell? I said, think of David, King David. David and Goliath, King David, great King David. We still talk about him as the greatest king ever. I said, do you know what he did with Bathsheba and her husband? And he kind of went, no. And I said, so, there's Saul and Paul. And I said, throughout the Bible, there's these people that learn from what they did wrong. That's where you are. You have a time to learn. And by the time I got done talking with him, you could tell the weight had just dropped off his shoulders. What was really interesting along with that was I had a young man in that same unit for months that would always smile at me and chat with me, but he would never come in and talk with me. And he'd always say, next week, next week. And as I walked out, he says, how about now? And I said, that would be great. Well, right then he got called to visiting. So the next week I walked in and he said, now. And I said, yeah. Well, it was the same thing he was dealing with. He had felt he had blown it. There was he had no hope for himself. We talked about changing thought and all. The very next week, he comes into me. He'd been there for months. He comes into me, the minute I walked in the unit, he comes bounding over to me and he goes, you wouldn't believe the change since I changed my thought. And it was so precious. And both those boys were able to go on into camps. And one had a job training waiting for him when he got out of camp. The other one went to a camp that had job training for him. And when you see that you can help kids like that, it's the neatest thing in the whole world. You have to realize a lot of these kids come in and they've had really no father around. Their mother might be a druggie. They've had no one to really talk to them about life. And these staff people and the other chaplains, and I mean, it's a line upon line, here a little, there a little, as it says in the Bible. These staff guys and women are really trying to help these kids see a different way of living, trying to help them. What I love is, like, I've gone to tons of graduations there. These kids come in, they haven't been going to school, they've been doing drugs all day. They come in and they have to go to school, they're clean, they have food, they don't have to worry about where they're going to sleep. And the staff people really, really encourage them. They'll spend their own money to have special snacks for them if they're good. They encourage them to go to school. Some of these boys that I've seen, I'll talk to them about school and they say, oh, I'm so far behind, I'll never catch up, and they graduate while they're there. And they make a big deal out of it. They buy special cake and ice cream. Their parents come, a lot of chaplains come, the librarian comes, they all come and they talk about how hard the kid worked. And I mean, you can tell for the first time in their life somebody's praising them for doing something good. And it's just, it's a blessing for these kids. And I've had more than one kid say to me, I think God sent me here to get better.